welcome into another installment of the McCue Report as we come to you from the George Welsh Indoor Football Complex, recapping another week of this fall camp in 2015 alongside Director of News Content, Jeff White. I am Dave Koehn, Director of Broadcasting and voice of the Cavaliers, and, well, we've certainly seen plenty of football to this point as we get to this final week of the fall camp. Now, with that as the backdrop, it is kind of a unique setting because this, the final week, you actually have potentially 2 weeks, depending on how you use next week, going into the UCLA game where you can get ready for your first opponent. But first things first, this is the week that is arguably the hardest you could make the case of the year.
They break camp tomorrow and move out of the hotel into their dorms or their apartments. Then there's a scrimmage on Saturday and a walkthrough. Then classes start on Tuesday. So there's a lot going on for these guys right now.
Yeah, and as I made note of just a moment ago, you typically, when fall camp breaks, you have 1 week going into your first game of the regular season. Ultimately, you have 2 weeks going into that UCLA opener. So it's just going to be class, and then it's going to be UCLA preparation, and any other odds and ends you're trying to take care of getting ready for that season opener.
I think it gives them, the coaching staff, they're still kind of racing to beat the clock, but there is a little bit more time, I think, to get ready to prepare for UCLA, which is good because obviously it's a tough opener.
We just saw what was the penultimate scrimmage of the season with one more coming up this weekend, but among some of the things that we noticed, a terrific effort from the running game in today's outing that we watched, whether it was Mizell, whether it was Albert Reed. It seemed like the offensive line started to come together a little bit more, at least today.
Yeah, there were some nice runs from all the running backs today. We saw a couple long ones from Albert Reed, the transfer from Maryland, and Jordan Ellis at the end of practice had a really nice run against the first-team defense, which is encouraging to see. So, going into this season and this training camp, the offensive line was thought to be a strength of this team, expected to be one. It really needs to be one. So it's encouraging to see, those signs where they can run the ball against a good defense.
Our broadcast team today got an opportunity to shadow some of the coaches and spend a little extra time with the football team in general today. And one of the things that you can't help but notice when you talk to these guys is on that topic of the offensive line, a lot more confidence in the playable depth of that offensive line, in the fact that if you do have some injuries, which pretty much every team across the country is dealing with in some form or fashion, and as is Virginia, you have guys that can fill those roles, though, and fill in, and hopefully you don't miss too much of a beat.
I think you could look across the board at this team, and there's depth at most positions. I think two that jump out at you where there's not a lot of depth are linebacker and quarterback, where right now there's Matt Johns, and behind him is Connor Brewer, but he's still learning the playbook, learning the system. On the defensive line, at the offensive line, at running back, wide receiver, in the secondary, there's more depth, there's more guys who've been through it, so if a guy does go down with an injury, I think the coaches feel better about the situation. So, that's good to see. That's obviously a goal of all programs, is to have playable depth across the board, and that's an elusive goal, but, you feel like this team has it at a lot of positions, which is a good place to start.
We didn't talk quite as much about the linebacking situation. We touched on some of the guys that were available, but when you look at that position, it really is intriguing to see the growth of guys that really haven't started games. Zach Bradshaw started one, Micah Kaiser has not, but Kaiser really looks comfortable in that role, doesn't he?
Yeah, Kaiser looks good. I think Zach Bradshaw looks good. They are the old men of the group, even though they're not very old and they're not very experienced, but Mike Archer, the linebackers coach, is counting on those guys. In terms of guys who are ready to hit the ground and play a game today or tomorrow, Kaiser and Bradshaw are way ahead of the others right now. But yeah, Kaiser looks incredibly comfortable and confident, I think, for a guy who hasn't gotten a lot of time from scrimmage, and that's good because he's in the middle, he's making calls. You need that guy to be a rock, and he looks like he can be that kind of player.
And to date, the big question still remains who will step into that third linebacker role when the team is in its base defensive package, and that remains the case right now with a couple guys potentially in play. Malcolm Cook, you're talking about Mark Hall, and those would be the two first names that come to mind, and C.J. Stalker's another guy that we've talked about, the true freshman. But as we switch gears and go to that defensive secondary, this is an area that was thought to be a strength going into the season, and I think a lot of folks would continue to look at it that way. However, as any defensive coordinator will tell you, you're only as good as your pass rush. With all the experience that's back, one area you don't have a lot of experience is in that safety position, and we've been watching that very closely. Quinn Blanding, coming back after a terrific first year. But after Blanding, it gets a little more interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you have Kelvin Rainey came into camp as the starting safety next to Quinn. He has held that job. Kelvin will be a question mark until he goes out and plays that position in games. I think, the early returns are promising on him, but, he's a bit of an unknown. We know what we're going to get from Quinn. I think the cornerbacks look very solid with Trey Nicholson back and Maurice Kennedy and Tim Harris. It's a solid unit. That nickel group is a really solid unit. But until they start playing the game, still face truly live competition with another quarterback, that's going to be a little bit of a concern and a question mark.
One guy that has stood out in camp so far in that defensive secondary, Juan Thornhill. And he'll be an interesting guy to see if he is able to get significant playing time or even partial playing time in this his first season. And he does look to be a potential factor.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw the excellent highlight package put together from the scrimmage by Virginia Sports TV, you saw that Thornhill had a really nice interception in the scrimmage off a pass by Matt Johns. He also had a couple really good open field tackles too. So he's a guy whose athletic pedigree is well known by people who follow the program. He was a terrific high school basketball player, a big time athlete, and he started training camp with the third team defense. He's moved up to the second, and he seems to really have a bright future, which is good because Quinn is a second year, so he's young, and Rainey's got another year after that. So if those guys grow together, that's a good thing for the program.
Yep, it is a 3:30 kickoff here local time to start the season at UCLA for those first-year players. Well, it'll be an eye-opening experience to say the least as they go to the Rose Bowl to start their collegiate careers playing football. So we'll break that game down a little bit more as we get closer in another installment of the McCue Report, but this will be our final installment of the McCue Report here, at least for this fall football camp in 2015. So until then, we'll see you next time.